You know, I feel really good. I can't wait to tell you.
Listening, man.
Oh, it's already going. Amazing. Sweet. Okay, just double checking here to make sure.
If you can drop me the link.
Yes.
Internet was somehow not working today.
Why is it this one? There we go. Bringing sound to life. There we go. Okay. There you go, my bro.
My iPad today is not working. Oh, it is.
Oh, wow. Beautiful day.
Hey,
Beautiful day.
what's up?
How are you?
What's good? Good. Now good. It's been somehow tough morning for some reason. I don't know, emotionally.
What happened?
I I give the rockets to I gifted 2 rockets yesterday, and I felt maybe that I've been connected emotionally to them, so I had some kind of separation anxiety or just joy or yeah. Now when I say yeah, amazed of beauty in some ways, so yeah, and felt some loneliness. But now it's good. Now it's been for a swim, happy, long morning, slow day, just being, creating a little bit. Yeah, want to talk
Thank you for
about
sending
one
me
thing.
thank you for sending me that picture of you in nature. It's like that sky, bro. It just it makes me miss nature so much, just being
Yeah,
there. You know, it's all nature, it's all consciousness, but you know what I mean, like just being there with like the birds, the
yeah.
trees, the wind.
Man, it's a blessing. It's a
It's a
blessing to
blessing.
be here. I woke up 6:30 something, and I see the sun is coming up slowly, and the sky just becomes pink, and birds all over whispering. And then I was like, took myself out of the bed and ran up the hill and just enjoy the sunrise. Took some beautiful pictures and videos, and yeah, it's
True
a true
abundance.
blessing. Yeah. And therefore I share, because I feel like a lot of people are in the screens and in the trenches doing the missions.
Do you want
The
to show a little bit? Do you want to show a little bit of the like, just so that anybody that's listening or watching back or anything like this, just so they see where you're at, real quick?
Yeah. Here it is.
Do it in the sideways, Sagitas.
Like this.
Yeah, like that. There we go. Now you can see it really good.
Yeah, so I went up there on the top, sunrise. It's like this. It's a quirky town.
The real abundance.
Yeah, it's interesting to experience that simplicity and abundance. And
Mm-hmm.
it's our little hut, and then you can see the lake down there. So it's very cool environment because of this steep nature. It's pretty steep. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm holding camera straight, so like you see the mountain, and it's a cool everyday motion workout as well. To go on the
Mm-hmm.
top or to go even for a swim, it's like I don't know, 100 meters down a hill and then coming up. Feels cool. Health is present.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
the real
sure.
meaning of life. I
Yeah. Being in it, enjoying.
love it, bro. I love it. So I don't know if you saw, but I adjusted our meetings on Monday
No, I didn't.
to 9:30 my time
Is
because
it
a lot
earlier,
of
earlier or later?
half an hour later,
Okay.
because a lot of the family from the platinum community, from the Tony Robbins community, uh, they are wanting a place to talk about where they feel heard, where they feel understood. Well, I also feel like that's what's necessary and what's needed.
Yeah.
Um, and to ask questions and to get curious about Bitcoin, to get curious about the development of it, to get curious about what we're doing and how we're building it. So
Mm.
I thought, it would be a great thing to do every Monday for 90 minutes. And in addition, to bring different leaders from the space. So I was thinking,
Mm.
starting it off, of course, like we normally do these calls, right? But then in addition to that, bringing together, different great leaders, like whether it's like Fred Thiel, Jeff Booth, Michael Saylor, Bram, Eric, like different leaders of possibility to really enhance and encourage all people to see the soundness of the community and the responsibility that we're all collectively taking, and that it is very real and it's very sound and it's very structured and it's very intentional.
Yeah.
Because I think
Hopefully.
there's a lot of people that are listening to the noise in the world, and they are making
Uh-huh.
uneducated decisions because of the noise, because of past paradigms or past experiences of life, and because they don't know any better. And I believe that everyone's doing the best they can with the knowledge that they have. However, I believe there's a higher state of responsibility here, and because these are all individuals that um, have really put in their test of time inside of business, inside of investing in themselves, and inside, I want to really bring to them the soundness of the principles that we live by, and I want to really bring to them the responsibility that of integrity, so that they're aware, simply aware, and then they get to make their
Exactly.
own decisions. Like they get to make their own decisions. They don't. This is not about them jumping on or needing to work with us or any of that stuff. It's really
Uh-huh.
just to simply 90 minutes every week. They can jump on and learn something deeper and more knowledgeable, and even bringing Lau on, and how smart Lau is, and all these other
Yeah,
guys
man.
that we can bring to the table, uh, to really, really advise the responsibility and also the depth. A lot of these old school, um, old Bitcoiners, that have been in the trenches, and so
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited to kind of like bring that to the table. People were really excited in the group. There's like over 400 people in that group that are really excited to do it, and they're all people that are very like people that are curious and integral, and they want to know more, and they have businesses. They're all like super entrepreneurs, and so I'm excited to be unfolding that here together with you, brother.
Wow, man. It's, I don't know, interesting to observe my own energy, what's going on, and my thoughts and the process of receiving this generosity, I would say, in some way. Like, I don't know if you can if you understand the scope of what you bringing here together. And yeah, sharing with me is just fucking amazing, man. I feel very grateful. I feel inspiration booming from within. My heart is blossoming, and feel very happy. Well, I'm like it's kind of a little bit numbing somehow my body, but and we already doing it. That's the point. So it's just like we don't have to like do nothing more, but we already do. It's effortless in some way. Oh man. Super grateful to be on this journey with you, for sure. It's such a, I was telling today to a friend here, how grateful I am to be with you on this journey.
Likewise,
Yeah.
brother. It's a symbiosis, right? Like same,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing this as effectively and as like intentionally if I didn't have a powerful mirror like yourself to be able to communicate with. So, we're just reflecting each other's grace back to one another, brother. And it really is it's an honor, right? Like we're just being, and it's not just being, we're being. And
Yeah.
for me, it's just as important. I want you to know that as it is for you. So I just want to reflect that back to you as well, because this journey is a gift, because you've watched me from a distance, but then also been with me in different experiences in depth. So you really have understood my soul and my calling, and I think most people, they look at me sometimes and they push me away, because they think, I'm crazy or too intense or all these stuff. But I really believe that the greatest leaders of all will learn how to embrace other power and other strengths. And I really love to. I love you because that's you. You're a great leader. You embrace that. You're like, wow, this guy's intense and amazing, and he's fucking driven. Let's go.
Let's raise the volume. Let's raise the volume. More sound. More sound. Oh, what a beautiful reflection, and it's just, yeah, it's I can own it for sure. And this is nature again. Like I don't do anything particularly, and just being me and is fun. And what a great people like you surrounds me. It's just yeah, it's just a true bliss and honor to be alive.
Yeah, brother, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
honored to be on a noble mission, as I think I want to call it for myself. I have a question for you.
Please.
If I would ask you now, which I do, I ask you now, uh, the question: Can you explain for me that never heard about Bitcoin, never heard about Bitcoin community, or maybe a little bit, maybe doesn't matter, I don't know. But the question is, what do you see if you and I want to invite you to speak from the perspective of we as a community. What do we do? What is our mission? What are we doing here? From the max scope you have.
So us as a collective, a community, we're very much focused on bringing out truth, honesty, and the ultimate focus of integrity. Our nature's law, our nature's principles have been defamed for a very long period of time. We have been manipulated as a society, and many of us have seen this over and over and over again through different millennia or different centuries. And in this time and space, the distinctive and the choice of our collective community within the Bitcoin network and the Bitcoin responsibility is about coming together. And it's not about not having disagreements. It's not about agreeing with everybody. And it's not even a utopia. It's actually way more than that. It's about being in a space where everybody is willing to focus on what they truly believe in and be safe and not manipulated by outside forces. To not be focused on fighting or destroying, but instead of on creating and leading. The biggest misconception with our past circumstances and our predecessors is that there was a siloed effect of separation for such a long period of time. Because this manipulation of the egocentric perspective said it's us versus them. Instead of getting curious about each other and understanding what are the similarities and finding solutions, we created a thought in our mind, put ourselves in a box, and created a separation and pushed people away. Throughout my life, most people have pushed me away. I told you this before we got here. And for the first time, the first community that genuinely said, Eric, here you are, I am coming to support and help you in my expansiveness, in my grace, in my ability to move forward, has been the Bitcoin development community. Because they see big enough to see that we're all together. Whereas in the past, most communities would think that I was either out of my mind or not thinking big enough, or sorry, not thinking or thinking too big, or being too intense, or how is this going to come possible, or all these things. Whereas the Bitcoin community has taken responsibility of realizing that there's something wrong with the system. And instead of talking about it and saying and complaining about what's wrong, there's action with grounded focus and a level of intelligence. There's scholarly intake and implementation happening behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And the people that are willing to take that action, for the first time in my life that I've been able to see, and I've been all over the world, instead of talking about how supreme or how, effective or how conscious they are, these people are doing it. They're walking the path and they're implementing things. And they're not pushing people away that are excited, that can bring even more energy, that can drive more behavior, that can cultivate more relationships. And so we as a community are taking responsibility for building the future, for changing the nature of what's possible for our next generations. Instead of stealing from the future like our predecessors have done, and leaving regularly piles amounts of debt, wars, famine, anger, and a misconception of how to continue to cultivate anger and suffering inside of our children. What we're doing is saying, we're going to stop this. We are coming together to stop this, to say, no more are we listening to these illusions. No more are we going to fear any more of what has been passed on to us for centuries. But we're going to take responsibility, do our homework, get curious about our ancestry, get curious about our history, get curious about where does this come from, and say enough is enough, and focus on the highest level of integrity and principles to keep moving forward. And from that place, we're showing up with fullness, with sovereignty, with grace to say, from this moment on, we choose to live as sovereign beings. We choose to pass on to our children a sound form of hard money. We choose to not fund wars that are based off of this illusion of money. And we choose to allow people to build an infrastructure focused on their passion, their vision, and their mission that comes from a level of brilliance that's way higher. And from this place, the innovation, the change, the desire of each individual on this planet will bring to life a way more effective core responsibility, a core collective intelligence that will help even more for the next generations. Because as a result of all of us doing the things that we absolutely love to do, we can tap into that creative intelligence, we can tap into that infinite will, and we can tap into something that brings a collective space of awareness and wisdom to life that we've never even dreamed possible. Because so many of us have different maps of the world, and so many of us have different desires within our heart. And if we come together and listen to each other, something even more powerful happens, because we're working towards something way more infinite.
Oh, I have another question. So, so what do we do as a Bitcoin community?
So we are ourselves. I mean, the doing part is being. I'm not going to say, we don't,
So,
right? So often people are thinking, so often are people like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? It's actually more about being. It's about being ourselves. It's about not necessarily, that question is like, hey, what do you do? Like, I actually, when people ask me that question, I say, I don't do anything. I'm a being. I'm here to just enjoy myself. I'm here to take responsibility of my life. Like, what do you do? Like, and it throws people off. Or when I ask people, what are you creating? They look
I
at me
love
like,
this
what do you
one.
mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm creating? What does that even mean?
Yeah. It's like I can be so far from understanding that part. Ah, man, I love this. Uh, so what I hear you say, that we just being ourselves. Ah, this is a sound one,
Bro,
man.
look
This
at
is
my
a sound.
shirt. Look
This
at my
one is
shirt.
sound. My heart blew up, man.
Look at my
What is
shirt.
it? The owner of imagination makes us exactly. This is the part that I feel connects Dr. Joe Dispenza's work to Bitcoin very well, because it's the same philosophy. It's just Dr. Joe let go people go back to the fiat system, where all that confusion is just like, oh, let's go back to the marketing. Let's go to like.
I think this is actually beautiful, because for anybody that's watching or listening back, uh, Sagita has spent a lot of time close and inside of Dr. Joe community, um, and close to him. And I've done a lot of stuff with Tony Robbins. So it's actually interesting, because a lot of these communities, they come together anyways, like the Tony and the Dr. Joe communities, they really are kind of very close with each other. And so it's true, like a lot of times is like, okay, now that I have all this information, what's the vehicle? How do I like bring myself out? And this is what I believe is the next step. The next step is actually, okay, so you want to evolve, you want to take Tony's work, and then it goes to Joe's work. And then the next is like, let's implement it into the Bitcoin network, into the Bitcoin world. And so, there's different levels of thinking, and people have to go up the platform, and everybody stands on each other's shoulders, and that's how we move the evolution of humanity forward. And I believe that as a result of, you know, taking the teachings of our teachers, and then, you know, stepping in, not stepping, but standing on their shoulders, and being in support of their eloquence and their values and their integrity. And then that's what I believe the Bitcoin economy and the Bitcoin development really brings to the table, is it becomes a vehicle for that brilliance. It becomes a vehicle for really stepping into that wisdom.
There's it brings that possibility to take responsibility, literally, because like manifestations all good, right? But what Dr. Joe Dispenza is, I think, missing to present to community, that manifestations of whatever, wealth, abundance, doesn't matter, health, comes with responsibilities and some kind of duties and obligations to show up in life and do something about it to make it happen. It's not only about dreaming about it. And in the end, fundamentally, I don't think there is a human being on the planet Earth that just wants to dream about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think we all driven by the same principle, that we want to live better than we found, for us, for ourselves, for kids, for, you know, it's like, and this one brings very, very, very deep into Burning Man community. I'm also a Burning Man community member, if that such thing as exists, but I, by choice, is the same like Bitcoin. If I would say a Bitcoin community member, like, what the fuck? Or when I say I'm working for Bitcoin, is true, but it's like, where is the employer? who is who is directing here? And one of the principles in Burning Man is leave no trace, or leave better than we found, as a collective as well. So if we come to the place where, for example, we came here, you know, to celebrate New Year's as a community, our one of the main principles, leave better than we found. So we fix things, we paint things, you know, if there is a need, we build a bench, we build a whatever art, we leave beautiful stuff. And that's our bond as a community. Like, celebrate together, but at the same time, you know, bring value, 100%. Focus on value and co-creativity, collaboration, you know, that's what we practice in Burns. And I see those three, Burning Man, Dr. Joe Dispenza, that's what I know, right, from quantum stuff, and then Bitcoin, they're like very, it's one piece. It's just one adds to each other in all aspects of beauty of life. Yeah. Healthy adulthood, tribe.
Yeah, and it's, well, that's what I love too, is that healthy adulthood. It's recognizing that we're still children. You know what I mean? We're just big kids, right? Like, the planet is our playground, and it just became bigger, and we just became more friends. And so it's always interesting whenever it's like whenever you get pushed out of a community, or like maybe not accepted or whatever, that it's like, oh, I don't want to play with you, you know? And I know that is something that happens a lot, unfortunately. And is there a possibility for more of us? Because, you know, it's no different than saying back during the Crusades, right? Like, our religion is better than yours. You know, like, and
no, we did enough. We did enough times in the past that there's not worth repeating, pretty much.
Exactly. And so that is the thing, is because, like, to really understand how to move forward and to build as a collective, we really need to understand the past. You need to really understand history, and you need to see the patterns play out. And if that's not going to be a curiosity as a healthy adult, then it's very difficult to see the imagination and the power of imagination that also makes you infinite. So, by being super healthy as an adult, to get curious about the power of your intelligence and the warrior scholar that you can become, you have to get curious also about where you come from. And I think that that is fundamentally a responsible role that more of us as healthy adults, as healthy, big kids of this planet, must step into if we choose to kind of like grow and develop and see the wisdom of each person that we meet. This is my perspective.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of these communities as well. What is uniting, and of course, maybe Dr. Joe's can be a little bit more like, because it's very centralized. So, but there is no one who can kick you out of Bitcoin community. Literally, like it's just like, and there is no that fundamental fear, because we all are owners and we all are, and it doesn't belong to anyone at the same time. And it's fundamentally based on a free choice to be a part of that, either or.
Well, you bring up a
And
really
at the
good
same
point.
time,
You bring up a really good point that also like I just really want to highlight this part, brother, because it's really important. If you don't mind, I'm sorry I interrupted.
sure, jump in, sure.
Um,
I'm curious which one.
Well, because of the centralization. So as a result, like whenever there's like in capitalism, right? Real capitalism must be a free market. And what that means by having a free market is actually being able to do business with whomever you choose to, whenever you choose to, however you choose to.
Uh-huh.
And so by definition, we haven't actually had a capital market. It's not true. It's been a conception that has been manipulated in the economy for a very long time. So what people think capitalism is, it hasn't actually existed until you actually get to step in and you can easily exchange with any person without being focusing on a central entity, on a centralized bank. So it's beautiful how you bring up like Dr. Joe, from that perspective, because it's like, yeah, there's a centralized body of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, of course, he's delivering the responsibility that he has as a leader, just like Tony, just like all these other great teachers. The thing is that what I'm seeing, or what I've noticed, is that people are trying to compare themselves to Dr. Joe or Tony or Sadhguru or these other people around the world. And instead of comparing themselves or competing with these people, right?
Yeah.
It's actually about how do you embrace and you stand up and you actually be a leader as well.
Oh.
Right. And so there's nothing to compete, there's nothing to like push away, there's nothing to feel worried about. Instead, just shine alongside them, because you don't need to be centralized inside one of community, whether it's Dr. Joe's or Tony or all. In fact, it's like, how do you rise as well alongside them and then come together and bring everything together? And I think that
So
that's
this is a cool. Can I jump in?
Please.
When I went to Dr. Joe, like I see it, like, and I also like dreamt about like houses and mansion and having a super yacht or whatever kind of like. thing. And then that led me to think, because there is one part missing that Dr. Joe doesn't bring to the table, or doesn't highlight, or maybe he does, but let's say what I want to add, that the way Wayne Dyer is saying, what is manifestation is not something that you just make a wish and then it happens. You have to become it. You have to walk. So that's literally what I was saying earlier, that every manifestation, whatever we want, it comes with responsibility. Let's say I'm manifesting a palace on Pacific coast of Mexico, beautiful palace, right? I am aware that there is maybe 150 people as a staff over there. So if I'm going to be the owner of that palace, I rather know how to run the business. I rather know how to work with people. I rather, like I like learning to be that what we actually want to be, and walking there. Somehow there I wanted to be delivered.
It's interesting because you have to, like, that is the collective. It's communication at the end of the day, right?
Tell me more. How do you see that communication?
Well, I mean, for example, right? Like, people want, whether when they're working for somebody, where they're in a business, when there's a community, where there's culture, where there's a leadership comes from leading oneself first. So being able to communicate, and being able to trust in your own, like, depth of knowledge, or your heart's intention, and knowing that there's a high level of value or integrity and alignment and principle, you're then able to deliver that in each person that you meet at any point in time, right? You don't separate yourself as better or worse, or less than or more than. You see that person or those individuals, it doesn't matter what their roles are, as equals.
Yeah.
And that is how you bring about a really powerful business, community, culture, nation, collective. And if you're working in this palace, or if you're working in an organization, or if you're working in any society, people all have their things that they're great at, or people want to do things that they want to make happen. And so if you're treating somebody different than you would treat anybody else, then you're not really in alignment with yourself. That means that, from my perspective, that means that you're seeing something better or worse in another person, which is ultimately what you're seeing within yourself. So you can't apply that to a business or an organization or a community if you haven't done the work within yourself. It's like that and I know we've all heard the be the change you wish to see in the world, but at the end of the day, the way you treat yourself is ultimately how you're going to start treating everyone else.
Yeah. Brother, like, another thing came, freedom, right? Freedom is it's a good one. And all those communities about freedom. One thing that also comes with freedom, it's a sovereignty. It's a full-on responsibility for life, meaning understanding that I am the creator of my life. And this is, like, and I can make choices, and I can do better choices. Because I think, like, I did not understood until I liberated myself from all chains of whatever. But then I realized, oh, I'm free. Then I realized that, oh, I'm fully responsible now for my existence. And with Bitcoin, that becomes even on another level, because now I am responsible for my wealth. There is no third party that I can call, hey, hey, hello, can you return the transaction? I made a mistake. No, that thing does not exist. So the way I secure, it's a responsible thing, man. It's becoming a Swiss bank. I like somebody put I think Obama put that way. Everyone becomes a Swiss bank, and we have a Swiss bank in their pockets, which is interesting. How to secure it, where to store it, how to distribute the memory, or how to store it so it's something happens to me, my old wealth doesn't go away, but it transitions to someone.
Mm.
So, and that comes with the thinking from sovereignty and responsibility. But that's also freedom. So freedom is also complex in some ways.
Well, it's interesting to me because I look at the wars and uh I look at how they would get men to go and fight wars, right? And these men were fighting for freedom, or so they thought, right? They were fighting for a noble cause because they believed in something, right? And when you look far enough and you realize the pattern there of freedom and how society had manipulated that freedom into slavery, that men gave their lives, and daughters and sons and mothers lost their partners, their fathers, their husbands, their brothers. It makes me really sad to be in such ego and lack so much effort to want to actually get curious about another political system or another person or another way, that there's not an ability to have a communication. So because of a few men, that were not willing to come to the table and have a conversation because of their own insecurities, they put millions to death, hundreds of millions. And for what? For an illusion of money, for an illusion that was created off of a system based off of corruption, based off of material wealth, based off of an illusion of what is real. When
It's a game of
somebody
power.
doesn't really know themselves and is not really willing to look into the mirror and have a thoughtful disagreement or a difference of opinion, or how can it benefit others, I don't believe that our predecessors have taken enough responsibility of recognizing what it means to truly actually not live for themselves.
Yeah. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it all. Like today I was listening to David and Bram podcast, and in the very end, David was saying what Bitcoin brings is opportunity to live for others. And that resonates very well. And part of it, I guess, is because Bitcoin is organized very well to decode the incentives, or like decode the negative incentives, greed, possibility of manipulation. Is just doesn't exist kind of in the Bitcoin game. And that's very liberating, at least for me as well. I can own it fully, you know. It's just there's it feels healthy, it feels natural. It feels like the part of the greed is it's even the part of ego is it's foreign in some way. Like not true. The one that part wants to go to the wars and you know destroy people, or like be in that animal kind of survival energy, what you were talking about, that's based on fear or lack or insecurities. I love. It's just humbling. It's just humbling in a way. That's why I think a Bitcoin community reminds to each other with all those quotes keep on repeating, you know, like stay humble and stack sats, and what that means, just enjoy life and be responsible for actions.
I think there's a depth, another layer to that, and I think it's
for
practice.
Sure, there is many.
I think it's practice humility
as well,
because staying humble presupposes that one is already humble. It's almost saying like I'm humble, versus practicing humility. Humility is something that is always something that needs to be finessed or worked on.
And that's the beauty of that shows me the beautiful heart of community, not judging or resenting that part, but rather focusing on reminder, which is, I think, the healthy way of communication. And that reminder, it's definitely important on the journey, especially with ego, especially with like full human body experience. It's nothing foreign. I think we all have it. Yeah, it would be it would be interesting if on the news channel I would see, okay, people, don't forget to stay humble. It would be so interesting at some point. How are you feeling? Where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel, not I think, compassion and humility are probably one of the highest states of love and integrity. And whenever like I'm hearing I'm humble or I'm humble or things like this. It just doesn't resonate with me because from my perspective, humbleness or humility is done by being rather than talking. And so that's why
Mm,
it doesn't like whenever somebody says I'm humble or stay humble or things like this, it just doesn't
mm,
make sense in my brain or in the feeling because uh, it's almost like when at least for me when somebody says something but then when versus the person that just does it versus the person that just behaves in that way versus the person that just walks in
mm,
that path,
mm, mm, mm,
and there's a from me, from my perspective, there's a difference, and it's almost like force versus power.
mm, mm. Yeah, and so definitely, like, and that somehow comes to my mind, like, the illusion of power that's been played, what you were talking earlier about wars and stuff.
I would say that's force. I would call that force.
Okay, yeah. That's definitely makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Because power is actually
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see that. Thank you for that.
yeah.
Oh, interesting one. Yeah. Yeah, power. Yeah, power is different for sure. Yeah, nice. I like it. Good one.
And for anybody that wants to listen or read Power versus Force versus Power by Dr. David Hawkins, incredible book. A lot of
Yeah,
insight that delivers great um dichotomy of the two words, because language is power. Like
yeah.
language really is a response, and it's not just what we say, by the way. People think that language is just the words, right? It's not just what we say. It's actually only 7% of the mouth, of the words that are coming out of our mouth. 37% is,
Communication.
thank you. So communication, body
Yeah,
language, facial expressions,
yeah,
it's all part of it. So we have to get curious. And that goes
yeah.
back to saying
Even
to like being the healthy adult. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, even silence is communication. Even
100%.
walking in the street, it's a communication. Um,
Right.
and it's very visible and very maybe it would be interesting term to put it, very recognizable or readable. It's easy to read what's going
Well,
on.
it is because those reading that affects our mirror neurons, right? So our mirror neurons actually learn by observing, just like we were children. So we learn a lot more by observing people versus than what necessarily we are saying. And so our mirror neurons are actually our greatest teachers, which is why it's so beautiful, because then you can recognize that we are all actually mirrors in this world.
Yeah. Now somehow it connects in my mind proof of work, and it wants to segue to Dr. Joe kind of approach. What is the proof of work means in those, let's say, scientific terms of Dr. Joe, or manifestation kind of uh, path. It's again like proof of work. It means become it, be it in some ways. Of course, in a technical part, it has different kind of meaning, but Bitcoin is no separation from consciousness in some way. Um,
Well, I would even say as to everything is consciousness. I was
uh-huh.
watching this. this movie the other day. They were talking about what consciousness is, and they were trying to come up with all of these different definitions and like, but pure source consciousness is everything. Pure source consciousness is
Yeah.
this moment, this experience, this chair. It's all pure source consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that's what people are forgetting is like this is pure source consciousness.
Mm.
Everything in our material or immaterial experience is pure source consciousness.
Yeah. I like sometimes to challenge people when they say, "Oh, I don't feel connected" or something like that. I'm like, by default, you cannot be not connected. You know? Yeah.
They're just cutting themselves off, right?
Again, that's the same. It's a mind delusion. It's a story.
Right.
It's a story we tell to ourselves. And
Right.
yeah, yeah. Good sound deal, man.
That was amazing. It's
I
amazing.
love it.
It's amazing. Don't go anywhere. I'm just wait one sec.
Zinzek.